Hi! Hello, everybody. We are here. Guys, I want to start off right away by saying we have one dislike on this video already. Good.
We've done it
right today. We did something right.
Yeah, we did.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody in the chat. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, welcome. Today, we are going to be discussing a few things in the realm of fandom fights. If you are new, hi, I'm Tim. That's Koho. And
hi.
Nick. Guys, how you doing?
I'm doing good. My heart hurts. Batman Returns his ass. It's so bad.
Yes. But Batman Forever is a masterpiece.
It's funnier, and I enjoy Jim Carrey a lot more.
Also, take that hat off. Nick, how you doing?
No.
I'm doing just fine and dandy. I have no gripes with any movies I've seen recently, so yeah.
Fair enough. If you guys didn't know, we are the Fandom showrunners. The three of us, we do the fandom things. We write the questions. We host the matches. We make the videos here at Multiplex for Fandom Fights. Of course, we have help from a lot of other people in the world of Multiplex, but us three are the ones in charge of making sure that we don't ruin everything. Koho's the one who made the Jacoby Bancroft Fortune Favors the Bold t-shirt, which is absolutely gorgeous. Koho makes all the beautiful t-shirts, and they're all beautiful. So a lot going on. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to start off by talking about the upcoming Fandom Fights Fall Frenzy Tournament. Which, there it is. That is the official name of this upcoming tournament. We are going to talk about the seedings and the teams that are in it, and kind of what we think about the tournament, where it's going to head, who is going to be playing Nick and I at the end of this tournament. That is what we are going to talk about first. But stick around, because after that, we are going to get into probably the big thing. We are going to talk about what fandom categories are leaving next season and what is coming in, specifically next season, not for this tournament, but starting next season. So, Koho,
that inquiry.
Yes. So why don't you start off by just talking about, the teams that
absolutely
tournament and stuff.
So over the past month, post singles tournament, we've been having a bunch of new teams and old teams sort of play off to try and get into this tournament. We've had a couple of great matches out of it. It all really started with Wookiee Mistake and Big Guns. Big Guns losing their first match and the number one contender to U2. Came back, they beat Wookiee Mistake, which is David Garcia and Joe Fairley, a new team on the block. Then we had two totally new teams play off. On your left, Mario Moses, Aaron Sellers, two of the contenders for the Fandom Rookie of the Year award, teaming up to make what some would call a young super team. They took on the Irish brothers, Doug Cassel, Jack Pinchuk. Irish brothers, unfortunately, lost that match, but they had a very, very good performance. As did Wookiee Mistake, forgot to say that. Some like it, Hoff. Played Jurassic Shark Show this year, lost in sudden death. They came back and played Agents of Hydra and won by knockout. The most dominant win of the rookie teams so far. Technically not wrong. Adelaide Spence and Andrew Barr put on a hell of a performance in a loss against Bounty Hunters Anonymous, who came back after their loss to Google. But then License to Chill and Brotherhood of the Wolf, a last-minute match that we put into this tournament because we had four people who were like, we really want to play. We were like, we have room. Cody Newberry, Mark Menchaca making up License to Chill, pulled it out in sudden death with Chris Diaz and JD West, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Both teams putting up great performances. And then our final match that just went out this past weekend, America's Asses versus Enter the Dragon Sword, probably the best match of this crop. Jacoby and Brian taking on RJ and Nico, two teams that are new, but four established players who have been having great seasons in their own right and on their own. All put up great fights. Asses pulling that out at the very end. But with that being said, we have our seedings. They have been determined. We have our bracket. Matches have been made.
This is true. I think what we can do. Nick, get your board. That's the first time. We can get our Tim's internet. Beautiful. We will go through. We're not going to go through like the entire tournament, like who we think is going to win, but we'll go through these first round matchups, show you who's playing who, what the seedings are. So, Koho, what are the seedings?
Our seedings coming in number 1, the former team champions, Mischief Managed. Coming in number 2, two-time challengers this season, Necronomicon. Number 3, Ascendant. Number 4, the best rookie team statistically out of this crop, America's Asses. Very close second to those statistics, though, is Licensed to Chill at number 5. Jurassic Sharks coming in at number 6 with their win previously in the season. 7, Bounty Hunters Anonymous picking up their win. Again, in their match with Technically Not Wrong. Number 8 on your left, pulling out the tight win on Irish Brothers. Number 9, Some Like It Hoth, the best 500 team. That knockout puts them square at the number 9 seed, just above the 10 seed Schizo, who lost to Ascendant in their last match. They have been on a tear earlier this year. 11, Big Guns. Their win puts them back into the running pretty safely. 12, FU Lucas. They beat Chaotic Angels. I forgot to mention that match in order to win their spot in this tournament. 13, Blockbuster Video. We haven't seen them since the beginning of the year, but they are always a contender because of those 2 wins. 14, the best losing team, Enter the Dragon Zord. They put up the best performance. They're coming in at the 14 seed. 15, the Iowish Brothers. Why are they Iowish? Well, Jack Pinchuk is unable to play in this tournament. We felt that was unfair to Doug, whose team did have the second best performance. So Cameron Redshaw will be his partner for this tournament. At number 16, Wookiee Mistake. Joe and David sliding in just at the very end as the 16 seed. This is going to be a hell of a tournament.
Is Boatman right? Fun fact, Blockbuster Video are now the only team to be in.
That is true. Blockbuster Video have never missed a multiplex teams tournament.
That's intense. Okay, so we have a very crude bracket, but it gets the job done. I like it. It's good. It's here. Where is it? We got it. Boom. There it is. Guys, this is it. So the first match is the number 1 seed versus number 16 seed. That might not be the first one released, but that's the first one we're going to talk about. Mischief Managed versus Wookiee Mistake. What do we think?
I'm clearly got a bias in this one, but I will take my bias out of it and say, as a showrunner and as someone who just watches this game, they held the belts this year. They won in dominant fashion, and they are the team that pushed you guys the furthest in the 5 rounds. They took you to round 5, so they have the caliber to be champions. I think they're going to win this round 1 match. But Wookiee Mistake is a pretty solid team. They got into this tournament on the strength of their performance alone, even in a loss.
I actually agree. I think Mischief Managed has the capability to pull it out, but I won't underestimate Wookiee Mistake. I think that Joe and David have a lot to prove when it comes to non-core geek. That being said, I think they know that, and they're going to work on that. So we'll see.
Sure. See.
That is a match that is going to be interesting. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I would agree that Joe and David, while having shown maybe a weakness or two in their first match, their strengths they're really strong in. So depending on how maybe the wheel goes, I wouldn't be overly shocked to see a 16 seed upset a 1 seed. But if you're asking me which one I'm putting my money on, the former team champions, we'll probably take this one.
Okay, what's next? We got On Your Left versus Some Like It Hoth, the 8 versus the 9 seed. Again, taking bias out of it.
True.
Actually, my wife is on one of those teams. That being
The GOAT made an appearance.
The GOAT appeared. This one's actually really tough because Amaru and Aaron have shown how dominant they can be. That being said, Tyler and Maggie also just absolutely on a tear. Maggie hasn't played in singles since last season, but her team's performance in the first Some Like It Hoth match was really, really great, as well as Tyler's. So it's one of those things where it's just they lost their first match, but I think they could pull it out. It's tough. They're both really good teams, and we just don't have enough game tape on both of them to make it. If I had to put money on it, I'm going to put it on Some Like It Hoth, just because I think Tyler, especially after his most recent loss in singles, is hungry. So I would go Tyler. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, so for sure. Also trying to take bias out of it. This is a theme I'm going to say that you'll probably hear throughout this. This is a very interesting tournament because you can't necessarily go by seedings. A lot of these teams have the same record or similar records and just outrank each other based on one match. So this is a really interesting one because of all these teams that are really close together, these are the two literally in the middle. They're the 8 and the 9. Some Like It Hot holds the two round
points record.
So that's a huge statement to make in their most previous match, breaking a record. And on your left, I think Tyler, Amaru, and Aaron are 3 of the top rookies of the year in Fandom. And if you're asking me to look at which of those 3 I think is the front runner, Tyler made it the furthest in the singles tournament. So you get a returning amazing player like Maggie combined with Tyler. That's where I'm putting my money.
Yeah, I'm also going to put my money on something like a Huff. I think this is the closest match so far, maybe. This is the definition of an 8 versus a 9, where this is where your bracket is either going to be busted or made because you just got to coin toss the right team. I think Maggie and Tyler have shown that they have the chemistry and the powers to work together. I think Tyler is the front runner for Rookie of the Year. But if you were to ask me who is the most dedicated rookie of the rookie class, I give it to Aaron Sellers, number 1 with a bullet. The amount of messages I get from Sellers in a day asking about what's this category? How should I study this? How should I do that? And it's like, and just coming and trying to constantly improve his game and get better at categories that he knows he's bad at. I would not put it past On Your Left to win this one at all. Amaru has shown that he is a lethal player. Sellers has shown that he is the most dedicated rookie. And I think those two prove to be a scary combo. But I will put my money on Hoff because I think it's really hard when you've got Tyler, who's proven he's got it. He's one of the statistical best players of the season, and Maggie, who the GOAT was a joke nickname. I think she's fucking earned that title at this point. She is actually the best player of the season. Sorry, Nick. But I think Maggie in that two teams performances have shown she's hungry and wants a belt, and if Tyler's going to be her partner, she's going to get them a belt, and that's what scares me. So I think Some Like It Hoth is definitely my pick to win, but On Your Left is a hard round 1 matchup to win.
Yeah, and she's coming back in singles this weekend as well.
Yes.
So
it's me. Hi, it's my funeral.
Hi, yeah, literally, the guy that is playing Maggie just said she's the best player.
She's the best. What do you think? I'm terrified.
Okay, next one. What's next?
Next up, we have America's Asses versus Blockbuster Video.
Yikes! This one, we haven't seen Blockbuster in a while. That's my main thing. I love Nazario and Mike. I think they could pull it out. I really do. But also in that first match against Dragonzord, Brian and Jacoby were scary. So it's tough. If I have to put money on it, I'm going Asses. But also, if Nazario and Mike get the right spin, I'm not putting it past them at all, but my money goes to Asses.
Yeah, absolutely. I also got to take America's Asses. I think they are the 4 seed for a reason. They were the most dominant of the rookies in their wins. Statistically, I think they missed 3 questions that whole match. Jacoby and Brian show they have the chemistry and the study drive. It's very, very hard to beat a team like that. Nazario has proven he is one of the best players in Fandom to never play for the belts. He is been unlucky with matchups and matches that he's had to play, but I think Nazario has proven time and time again that he is still one of the best. And Mike Hanley has been pretty complimentary to Nazario in a lot of ways. If they get Park, that's a category that they will not miss a question in. If they get something that Mike Hanley feels 100 in, they are getting 10 points. So I think at the end of the day, you can't count on Blockbuster. They won their round 1 match in the last time we did a teams tournament and barely lost in round 2. I could see them pulling an upset. I'm going to take the smart bet on Asses, but I could never, ever, ever count out Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. I love you, Mike. I love you, Nazario. Just look at Asses separately because Brian's last singles match, he almost beat Google. And
true.
Jacoby's been on a tear. Jacoby has literally only lost to the team champions individually this season. Together, they are a scary team. There is a scenario where I think Asses spins the wrong thing, the categories don't fall the right way, and Blockbuster pulls it out. But as much as I love them, I'm going to go with America's Asses.
Okay, what's next?
Next one, License to Chill versus FU Lucas.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take this one, Koho, because both teams are in in my faction and me and Nick's faction. This one's a yikes, but I love both these teams except for Jim Green.
So I think License to Chill, the way that we look at this, License to Chill, Mark Menchaca is a giant question mark, or was a giant question mark coming into this tournament, coming into Fandom. He showed up in that first match 9 for 10, showed himself to be a dedicated studier and maybe one of the scarier team rookies for the Fandom division. And he is paired with a veteran player in Cody Newberry. Everyone forgets this. Cody Newberry played for the team's titles against Arkham Knights. That match never came out because it was one of the Chicago ones, but they got there. They made it. They played for that title. They played their hearts out. Kane and Cody did. And Cody, even after that, played his heart out in the team's tournament, beating Blockbuster Video, narrowly losing to 80s in his sick game. Cody took 80s to the last question, and then they came back and just barely lost to Kings of Winter in the rematch. Every time we've seen Cody play, Cody has been one of the scariest teams players, and I've said this before. I think Cody Newberry is on the Mount Rushmore when it comes to Phantom Fight Teams division. He's one of the best to play the team's game because he knows the strategy. He's one of the hardest studiers, and when you put him on a team with an A player like Mark Menchaca, who shows he can barrel through a 9 for 10 round, that's a team that scares me. On the flip side, you have veteran power with 2 of the Phantom Teams division's biggest name veterans. Lucas Schilbach, the first Phantom Team champion, playing with Jim Green, who has played for the Phantom Team's title twice with me in Kings of Winter. These two are a team that on paper is a scary team. Their first match, they barely lost to Ascendant, and then they dominated Chaotic Angels. So at the end of the day, Lucas Schilbach has proven it. He has what it takes to win a team's title. He has the knowledge and the study drive that should strike fear into anyone that plays them. Jim Green is a great Fandom B player. He is very good at giving you the supplementary knowledge you need in any given moment. So when we break it down, it's going to be tough. I'm going to give the edge to License to Chill.
Me too.
I think Menchaca and Cody together is going to be scary this tournament. I think it's going to come down to how dedicated is Jim Green to this game. If he shows up looking like his Kings of Winter double title match days, then Chill has a team on their hands. But if you get the Jim that played against Ascendant, where he just kind of rolled out of bed, played the match, and then went back and watched football, then I think Chill has this match. So it's going to depend on which Jim Green shows up, but it's going to be a match to watch.
Yeah, I take Chill as well.
I think 3/4 of these people are going to win.
3/4 of these people are going to win. All right,
what's next on the bracket? This is the last one. We're on to the next side.
On to the next side.
We've got the two
Sharks and
challengers.
Oh, we're doing the top.
Yeah, sorry, I was going back to the top. Might be. We got Necronomicon and Iowish. What do we think about that, boys?
So, allow me to make a bold prediction. Necronomicon has played for 3 titles. They've beaten me. So what I could be talking crazy. But as someone who has played Necro, who has watched Necro's biggest weaknesses come in the realm of animation. They don't really know their Disney or their Pixar or their DreamWorks is not an area that they feel really great about. Doug has shown this season that he is one of the most improved Fandom players in the game. He took Nazario all the way to the limit. He was beating Nazario at round 1, and even the Irish brothers themselves played a really good game with Doug and Jack working together. Redshaw is the question mark, but knowing Redshaw's animation game when it comes to those 3 core areas, and Oscar's, another area Necro is not huge in, are Redshaw's biggest strengths, period. So now you get into Fandom where he can zero in on these areas that he's already good at, pair him with Doug, who has the knowledge of the game and has been doing really well. I'm going to make the bold prediction that Iowish pulls the upset.
You can be bold like Jacoby. I'm going to keep my money safe and bet on Necronomicon until the curse or the whatever you want to call it is broken of them only losing in title matches. Until that is broken, I won't believe it, and I won't bet against them. They continually find a way to win matches. So I will bet on Necronomicon on this one.
That's very fair. I could be losing $80 on this bet. I definitely went to Vegas with it.
Fortune favors the bold, Koho, not the stupid.
Sure.
I think you're crazy if you're overlooking Necronomicon right now. Yes, they have only lost in title matches. That's pretty crazy. And while I agree some of their weaknesses are certainly showing, I think in round one of a tournament against a team where one person is, yes, very improved and the other person has not played yet, I think they could still squeak by even if the wheel doesn't go their way. So yeah, that Vegas money is pretty easily on the number 2 seed.
All right, what's next?
Bounty Hunters Anonymous versus Schizo. That is, in my opinion, another coin toss match.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because Schizo's loss against Ascendant is probably one of the most debated losses,
controversial moments of the season.
Yeah, of the season. Do I think I made the ruling? Do I think they should have won? Probably, but again, we went by the rules, and the rules were that what happened, which we don't need to get into it, but what happened, they didn't follow the rules, so they didn't win the match. And that's fine because Ascendant went on to play lights out against me and against Knights of Ren. But Schizo, I'm giving the edge to Schizo, even though Bounty Hunters again are in the faction. I think it's just too much of an, not necessarily an unknown, but just that I think Jake is so laser focused on Warzone and Warzone stuff. I don't know how that's going to work with him also playing in Fandom. For all I know, it could just help him. Being in a study habit might just help him. But I don't know. I give the edge to Schizo on this one myself.
I will also lean Schizo, but I think it's going to be really close. With Bounty Hunters Anonymous, I stand by the fact Jake's general fandom knowledge is still something to be worried about. Every time this man has shown up and played, he's played Eli McKeag twice in singles back-to-back, and both times pushed Eli to the limit. And that wasn't a match that Jake particularly cared to play, and he almost won. I think Jake has shown us time and time again, he is a good Fandom player. His accuracy for the longest time was the best accuracy in the history of Fandom, and for the longest time, he held the 3-round points record for Fandom Fight singles for 2 whole seasons since the beginning. So Jake knows how to play the game. He's good at this game. Antonio, also good at this game. He barely lost to Mark Kamier in his debut match last season. We just saw him play Sellers just a little bit ago, and he won that one. He shows that he can beat people, that he can play this game. He knows his Fandom stuff. So these two together, I think their knowledge and their teamwork and their chemistry is really solid, especially with Cody Newberry in their corner as a manager. Schizo has the benefit of having this former singles champion Dominic Rizzi on that team. Day in, day out, Rizzi shows up and constantly is someone you can't write him off. Every time he plays, his general knowledge is insane. And he has had trouble with round 2 and round 3. He goes a little too quick. He jumps a little quickly to an answer. He doesn't quite think a whole situation out. And Eli has always been that calm voice in the room to try and help guide him through that. Eli is a gamesman. He's one of the most dedicated viewers of Fandom. He studies that game very, very closely. And he tries to craft the best game plan for a game going in. Eli is the brains and the strategy. Rizzi is the raw firepower. And I think you put them together, Schizo is going to win this one, but I think Bounty Hunters could still pull that upset.
All right.
Yeah, no, I think it all depends on what Eli has been doing since he retired from singles.
That is true.
Because we don't know. I don't know. If he's done nothing since then, that's going to be sort of a weight on that team. On the other side, like you said, Antonio just won. We also haven't seen Jake in Fandom in a while since his last team's match. But I know for a fact that throughout that Warzone tournament, people used Fandom strengths against him. And I'd have to imagine he studied them at least a little bit. So the overall general knowledge of both teams is very good. To me, it comes down to what's been done lately. And I think for that reason, Jake and Antonio might just pull what I would call an upset, because I would think going into this, Schizo would be the favorites. just despite the seeding, or maybe in favor of the seeding. I forget where they're seated, but so I'm just going to say Bounty Hunters, I think, wins that.
Okay. What's next?
The next one is Ascendant versus Enter the Dragon Zord.
All right, you don't get to say boo.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I give this one to Ascendant. If I'm making, Koho made a bold prediction earlier, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Ascendant wins this tournament. That has been my prediction since the beginning. There's number 2. I think that Ascendant wins this tournament because I think that after Ascendant's loss to Necronomicon, they are not taking any more chances because I know Koho as a player, but I also know him primarily as a friend, and I know that he was livid. I know that Cam was livid and that they were pissed they lost, and I don't think they're going to let it happen again. And they played incredible against us. And so I that's my bold prediction. I think they're winning this one. Enter the Dragon Sword is going to be a good team. Yes, Cam, I know, crazy. I believe I once drunkenly said I loved Cam Holtzman, and I don't think he's ever trusted me since. But Dragon Sword's a good team. I think they got, it was tough going up against Acids for the first match. Nico, when he puts his mind to it, he shows results. Same with RJ. But I think Koho and Cam are scary hungry. Not that RJ and Nico aren't, but I think right now they have more passion to get there, is my opinion. I could be totally off base on that. Nick, what do you think?
I am not going to say yet, and I need to phrase this carefully, but I'm not going to say yet that Enter the Dragon Zord is a good team. I think they are made up of 2 players who are very, very good, who could be or are top-level players. What we saw in their first match, I think they have some kinks to work out as a team to become a great team. So as far as the people who have been working together, who have shown results this season, I think that leans towards Ascendant. But Enter the Dragon Zord can do it. Like I said, they just have those things to work on. I don't know if I would do the bold thing and say Ascendant's going to win.
I've just said that from the beginning, and I'm not going to change my mind. I'm going to put my fist down.
Fair. But yes, I also give this to Ascendant. Koho obviously going very far in the tournament. Cameron, if he was a rookie this year, would probably be up there with
the winner.
Or the winner. Yeah. So again, 2 teams made up of great players. One team has showed us that they can work well together as a team. The other team, I'm still waiting to see that.
Yeah. I think sorry, I was just going to say, I do think Dragon Zord has the ability to win this match. But I didn't see that in their first match. But if they come in guns blazing, my bold prediction could go up in flames really quick.
I will say, the moment that we knew Ascendant was locked at the 3 seed meant that we were going to have to play someone who is not a 14 seed team. And I was like, all right, we're going to have to get ready for whoever comes out and had an unlucky game. And as soon as I saw that it was Aces Dragon Zord on the schedule, I knew whoever was losing that is who we were playing. Dragon Zord is a good team. RJ is someone that I have played once, and Nico I have played twice. These are guys I have played many times. I know them pretty well, and I think they are going to be a good team. They're going to be a team that I can't overlook, and they are. I think my teammate might have one of the hardest round 1 games to play, especially compared to the other top 2 seeds. So Nico, RJ, bring your A game. We're not taking you lightly.
All right. And the last match of the round 1 is what?
Jurassic Sharks versus Big Guns.
This one's honestly probably the most. I don't know. I really don't.
It's a pretty big toss.
If I had to put money on it, I'm giving it to Big Guns. Only because I think that Carly and Albert came to play in their last match. And that's not to say that Sharks didn't come to play because they did. They won. They beat Tyler and Maggie in their first match. But I think that this is why I think it's such a coin flip on what happens. Yeah, I give the edge to Big Guns, but I think Kirk and Sean are they study their asses off, man. And if they put that work into it, they could win. But I think Albert and Nick also study their asses off. So it's really tough. I give the edge to Big Guns.
I know this is hard to say because this is one of my teams. But I will say, before Big Guns' first match, they showed a lot of potential when they played you guys. A lot of potential. And so, which is immediately why I gave Albert the call and said, "Hey, you and Nick, I want to manage." And they said yes, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But Nick Carley is a player who has shown a lot of growth, and has shown a lot of dedication to studying to make sure that he's there for Albert. But it's really hard when you're playing the team that delivered some like it Hoth their loss. Sharks is a team that studies harder than most teams I've ever seen. And if you go into this, I think Sean is the bigger Fandom player of the two. He knows the Fandom stuff more. Kirk is very busy with Warzone at this point, which is what I'm sort of banking my prediction on, is that Kirk is busy working his ass off around Warzone. They have a tournament coming up. There's a whole lot going on there. I think Kirk's busy and not totally focused on this. But it is Sean who is the heavy on that team. He's the one that watches the Fandom stuff more consistently. He is a very smart Fandom player. If they get Park, that's a 10. But I'm going to put my money on my team, on Big Guns. I think Big Guns, Albert is the best of the four. Albert has been unlucky in some of his matches that he's played before. He's had a lot of hard matches in a row. But never forget, this man is one of the only people to start 3-0. He was one of the front runners for Rookie of the Year last year. He was a really strong player, and that strength has not disappeared, even in some of those losses. That buzzer beater win by Cam and that very slim loss to RJ this season, I will put my money on Big Guns because Albert still scares me.
He also played really well in the exhibition that just came out.
That too.
Yeah, no. Similar to what you guys said, and similar to what I said earlier. Like this tournament's really interesting because these seeds. There's not a whole lot that separates them between seeds. It's not like this seed has like 5 wins and then the next seed has 2 wins. Like everyone's very similar. Jurassic Sharks beat Some Like It Hoth. That's already impressive enough. That's why they have that high of a seed, and it's deserved. I agree that I think Kirk and Sean may be more Warzone focused. And someone said earlier that Mischief Managed pushed us the furthest. Maybe on score. Big Guns, and I don't know if Tim, you would agree, Big Guns was definitely our most nervous match.
They were the first match where we had to bet points in round 3 and have it matter.
Yeah. So
that was terrifying.
So if you look at the score, the Big Guns match isn't up there for our matches, but if I remember playing them, like they, in my mind, were the closest to beating Tim and I. So I think Nick and Albert are solely focused on Fandom, and I think that's going to give them the edge over Jurassic Sharks, who hasn't played since they beat Some Like It Hoth.
Okay. So that's the tournament, guys. So again, we will start releasing those matches, not next week, but the week after. This weekend, we have the aforementioned Kaleb Koho versus Maggie Brzakala. Maggie's return to Fandom singles in a hope and a shot and a dream to get to the title. Koho also wanting to prove himself, get to the title. He wants to do it. He wants to take on TWOHIG'S. So we'll see what happens there. What's the other match?
I want your damn belt. I want that rematch. It was a fluke that you beat me, son. Fluke.
What was the other match this weekend?
The last rookie debut of the season, Jacob E. West versus Mike Shea. It's our very last Phantom Fights debut match for the season.
Yep. So then so that happens, and then the week after that is the tournament. We're gonna start releasing those. And then
On Your Left versus Some Like It Hoth. That's the first one out the gate, baby.
So we'll get started with that in 2 weeks. All right, let's move on to the big thing. This is the big stuff. I want to start by saying we're going to talk about what is leaving Fandom next season. 2 categories are going to be leaving. Again, everything going forward that we talk about, I want to make very clear, everything we talk about going forward starts in January. It starts
Season 4.
in January. That is when it starts. The matches will come out in February, but some of you will probably be playing in January. That is when this all happens. I want to make that abundantly clear. That being said, I already saw a couple comments in the chat asking no poll about removing categories and adding categories. We did not do a poll last season about what to add. We did a poll saying what would you like to see add. We revisited that well. And we also came up with some ideas of our own.
We also put out that fandom inquiry for you to fill out and give us suggestions for categories. We did look at everything that we got.
Correct. We did. All the admins, not just the three of us here. The three of us and Cody and Boatman. So not all the
Cody and Boatman did give insight as well.
So what we're gonna do is Nick's gonna take us through what is going away. That's 3. He's gonna talk about what's going away. And then we're also going to talk about after that what's coming in. We will address why we think the things coming out are important to come out and why the things going in are important to go in. If there are any questions about those things, we will do a Q&A at the end. And we're also going to talk about the other elephant in the room, which was on that poll, Hamilton, Disney live action. Basically what's going on with movies that were going to come to theaters that didn't because of the pandemic. So, Nick, let's start off with the heartfelt one. What's going on with what's leaving?
Okay. So, as Tim mentioned, we all got together. We talked about this, and there were very clear options as to what needed to leave. And we have reasons, but they were very... Let's just say they were running a little thin, and we prepared a little thing for you. So
you raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. More than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have made many video packages for many shows. I have never been more proud of anything that I've made than that.
That is so fun, and you did that quick too.
I did that in 5 minutes.
We're sorry. It's just so sad.
It's so sad.
So we are saying goodbye to Rocky. We're saying goodbye to Jurassic Park. Like Nick said, I think the big thing is that they have run thin. Jurassic Park, in its first season, it came in midway last season before the tournament, and it was used in nearly almost every match. It was used so much in that Fandom singles tournament last season, and so much even this season it has been used. We are at a point where at the end of last season, well before Nick came on board, when it was still just me and Koho, where me and Koho said we have to make the conscious decision to reuse questions this season from Jurassic Park because we already had used so many. So Jurassic Park is bye-bye. And also Rocky, do you guys have stuff to say?
Rocky is a category that I fucking love, that I'm glad we brought in. It's one of my favorite categories. I've never been more elated than when Schizo gave us Rocky on Opponent's Choice, knowing Cam was bad at it and not knowing that it's one of my favorite film franchises ever. So I love Rocky. It's a franchise and a category I will always love. Unfortunately, it's a category that doesn't add enough movies consistently. there's a Creed 3 coming at some point, maybe. Hopefully, I think Michael B. Jordan's even directing it. But there's 7 movies and not enough information left to pull from at this point. And it's 8 movies. But it is, we've run out of questions really to ask in those 8 films that we have. And it's run dry. And that makes me really sad to say, because I love Rocky, and I'm not even shitting you. The moment that I watched the Apollo clip again to put that in there, I was actually starting to well up a bit, because that moment still makes me sad. But I love those movies, and it's a bummer to see it go. But yeah, we are out of questions.
Yes, I agree. And again, these will be in play for the remainder of this season.
Yes.
So if you would like to give them their farewell, their send off, and use them for the rest of this season, you may. But yeah, I agree. It's hard. Questions have started repeating because we're just running out of them in both of those categories. So long, guys.
It is sad. Okay, that is another one. Yes, I thought I could get it before I would have had to start talking again, but I didn't. You just do 5. You didn't do 5. You just did 5.
Well, we're on 4. So.
Oh, that's the only 4. I thought that was the 5th one. So, guys, that is what's leaving Nico. Yes, that means Bond is staying. Yes. I want to preface this next thing by saying we're going to talk about the stuff that's coming in. The requirements for something to be in fandom. I want to make that abundantly clear. It is something that has a large fandom. The show's called Fandom Fights. Does not mean that everybody who plays in Fandom Fights has to have a big fandom for it. For example, I hate Bond. I like the Craig Bond movies, but I don't like Bond. It's a big fandom. I understand that. People love it. It should be there. I think it is supposed to be there. The same reason why I think Pixar should be there. Why Jurassic Park for a time should have been there. So what we decided, the big thing we talked about was we're taking out 2 categories that are both lower on the end of movies. When we put in Jurassic Park, it was an extra category, but
it was a bonus one where we already had a lot of movies already available.
But at the end of last season, we voted out Ghibli and Fast and the Furious, which was a large chunk of movies, and we replaced it with Apes and YA, which are both on the lower end of things. So the big thing that we said was we need a category that has a lot of movies in it that we can pull stuff from, and also one that, might be a smaller one still to, have another nice small one. It's nice to have some categories that aren't, 87 movies to study. So I think that was the big thing. So let's talk about that small one that's coming in, Koho. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So when we went through a lot of small categories that have very large fandoms, and there was many that we've talked about. I don't know if I'll name drop any of them. Should I name drop any of them? Nah, we'll let you think about that. We'll let you ponder it. But we kept coming back to one that has a large fandom. No one has ever said a bad thing about most of these movies, and is a category that at the end of the day is still growing. So. Mission Impossible is going to be in Fandom Fights effective Season 4 starting January 1st, 2021. Mission Impossible will be a category in Fandom Fights eligible for you to use, study, and otherwise enjoy.
Yep, all 6 movies. This is what's coming in. Basically, what we also looked at was we looked at the poll that we did put out last year, and a lot of people voted for this. I think this was the number 2 item. We actually put in something that was, because again, last year when we did the poll, we said, give us ideas and vote for the ones you like. I think Apes might have been number 1. This was number 2. And it was time. It's time for it to come in. It's here. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on Mission Impossible?
Yeah, no, it's got I've seen each of the movies maybe like once, maybe twice. I wouldn't say I'm part of the fandom that exists, but the fandom definitely exists, and based on the definition of what belongs, Mission Impossible is definitely there. It's got one more movie than Jurassic Park, and with 2 more on the way. So I think it's a category that will serve us well and serve the league well.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, again, I'm not gonna. This is tough. I want to make sure that we understand what a fandom is, and I think at the beginning of the season, something that I said to Koho, which I think he agreed with me right away. We pretty much have been planning on this for a while. Is that there's one thing to me that was glaringly missing from fandom fights, and that.
That's good.
I thought that was good.
That was a good one. There is one thing I think that was glaringly missing from fandom, and that is horror. Fandom is something that horror is something that has a very, very big fandom that we were ignoring, and I think that's because we're not. There's number 5. I don't think we're the biggest horror fans, the 3 of us here. I think out of the 3 of us, I'm probably the biggest one.
Right.
That being said, I think it was important to say we're hitting the people who love the comic book movies. We're hitting the people who love the animated movies. We're hitting the people that love the spy movies. We're not doing anything for this huge section of film that has a large fandom. We threw around a lot of different ideas of what we were going to do to make horror in fandom work, and we found one. Play the clip. Horror icons Freddy, Jason, and Michael will be in fandom starting January 1st, 2021. The way that this is going to work, what we decided is that we were going to take the 3 kings of horror. We threw around other ideas like the Conjuring universe, Saw, stuff like that, but we ultimately decided that this is a huge amount of movies. Right. There are 3 franchises. It's just over 30 movies. It's like 34, 35, something like that. What we have decided is calling it horror icons is very specific. And the reason that I'm already seeing the things in the chat, so I'm going to bring that up, that the naming it horror icons is for a very specific reason. And that is, let's say, sorry, I don't know who DC.
I actually don't know who DC and Freak 5 is, but
sorry. But what we decided to do is we have the ability of calling it horror icons to be able to take out some horror icons and insert some other ones. There will always be 3. So to start, it is Freddy, Michael, and Jason. If we decide after 8 months, well, Jason's kind of run his course. We haven't, we've asked all the questions we can ask from Friday the 13th. We have nothing else to do with Friday the 13th. What are we going to do? Instead of just writing more Michael and Freddy questions and giving the short straw to Jason, we will then throw in a Leatherface, or maybe a Hannibal Lecter, or maybe a Ghostface, or maybe
a Jigsaw.
We have the ability with this category to represent a large group of people with horror and put in different horror icons. I think this is the best possible thing we came to. His name is Bat and Bats, or whatever it's called.
Rob Bat and Bat.
Yeah, Rob Bat. Sure. So this is, I think, the best thing we could have done for fandom. It took a lot of work to get the 3 of us to come to an agreement on what to do with horror. And I don't remember whose idea. I think it was Koho's idea of we can always pull someone out and put another one in. I think that's the most genius thing we could possibly do for this. So the movies that will be in it are all of the Halloween movies. So it's the original 8 movies, the 2 Rob Zombie remakes, and then the new David Gordon Green movie that came out in 2018. Those will be coming out. Those will come out as well. So that is 11 movies right there. On the Friday the 13th side of things, you will get the original 10 movies, everything from the first one to Jason X, as well as the 09 remake. Then on the Nightmare on Elm Street side of things, you will get the original Wes Craven movie, all the way to Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and then the remake film, I believe also 2010. And New Nightmare. 2010. And New Nightmare, I'm sorry. New Nightmare and the remake. And then also the caveat on that as well, Freddy versus Jason will be in there as well. So it's going to be every movie in those franchises that was theatrically released. I don't think there are any that weren't. So Freddy versus Jason will be in there. I realize now in the chat, we have some people who are very excited about this and some people who aren't. And I think that is honestly the point. I'm not excited about Bond. I don't even really like YA dystopia. But that I don't know what that means. But that's number 6. I think that this is important because we just did not represent fandom. We ignored it. Maybe not on purpose. It wasn't on purpose that we ignored it. But I think it was about time to start looking at it more closely. So that is why we are putting it in there. Koho and Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. When we got into the Warzone, into the fandom admin meeting that we have at the end of every year, where we go, okay, so what are we taking out? What are we putting in? This is a conversation that doesn't happen once a year. This happens throughout the year, constantly. Midway through the year, we'll go look at each other and go, okay, so we're halfway through the year. What's not working? What is working? Season 1, what clearly wasn't working was Back to the Future and Indiana Jones. 1 got voted out, we took 1 out, and y'all got rid of Kaiju, and we thank you for it. Season 2, y'all got rid of Fast and Furious and Ghibli. That did end up hurting us a lot as question writers. And I will also address, I see a lot of people in the chat saying Ghibli. Yes, we saw it. We made the admin decision that if something gets voted out, we are going to wait a full season of it being gone before we decide to put it back in. So it won't be in next season. It will be eligible to come back for season 5. So if you still, by the end of season 4, really want Ghibli in, make sure you tell us and keep telling us, because we are not ignoring you. We just have that rule. But I think Tim's point of horror is a major area that, I mean, of course, when I heard it, I was like, well, I don't know. I don't like horror. I don't like this. I'm scared. And me and Twohig were both like, we're not fans. But Tim's argument made a lot of sense. We thought about it, and we went pretty back and forth on Ghibli and Freddy, Michael, Jason. The Conjuring universe. Did I say Conjuring? I feel like I didn't say Conjuring. Anyway. Ghibli. Conjuring, sorry. We went pretty back and forth on those two, with Conjuring being connected, Freddy, Michael, Jason not being connected and also not connected. But at the end of the day, we were like, we need something with a lot of movies that has a big fandom that is going to inject a bit of new life into fandom for season 4. And I think Horror Icons is the perfect move for us to do that. And the idea of being able to take people out and putting people in when we run out of stuff gives us a new staple that probably won't leave, just because we have so much real estate on it that it's going to give us a viable category for the next couple seasons, which is something that we really needed after Ghibli left and after Fast and Furious left. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a scary new adventure for all of us to venture into writing horror questions and watching these horror movies for this category. So yeah. Zadius had a good question. If you want to choose Horror Icons as a strength, would you get questions from all 3 franchises, or can you choose one of the 3? All of them. You'll get questions.
If it shows up in round 1, the same way as YA, how it's Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and Divergent. In round 1 or 3, we will ask. We'll pick the movie and we'll write a question about it. But in a round 2 scenario, yes, you would be getting questions from all 3 franchises. We'll save more of the questions for when we're done. We're almost done, I promise. but I'll quick answer Aaron's. Any thoughts on Alien Predator? We talked about it. We discussed it. It is a comic book type thing that is in mixed bag in Full Metal Geek. But again, we wanted something with a big number in movies. Even Alien and Predator together, Predator is 4 movies, 2 AVPs, and like I think 6 or 7 Alien movies, six. So it wasn't the big number that we wanted when it comes down to it. So, Nick, your thoughts on the horror icons?
Yeah, as a player, I hate this. Couldn't hate it more as a player. I am a very scared. I get very scared very easily watching the movies. Not in like real life, like walk down a dark alley in real life. Okay, whatever. But like watching a fake thing in a movie terrifies me for some reason. I was brought on like halfway through this season to help run things to sort of break ties between these two angry married couple. And you know, it was brought up the idea that horror is not here, and I was like, even if you're not a movie person, you know who Freddie, Michael, and Jason are. So I was also pushing really hard for the category of horror icons, and especially for these 3 to be the first 3 in it. Again, it can be expanded, they can be swapped out if we hit that point, but I think objectively these are the 3 most iconic with 3 of the biggest fandoms. So I'm very excited for what it will do for the show. Again, as a player, I'm terrified at the thought of having to watch these alone.
That's absolutely. It's getting more and more.
The Force Awakens.
This is yeah. There you go. Boom. Okay, so the last thing we'll talk about before we take questions. We had a few people ask earlier in the season, what are we doing about movies that were going to come to theaters that ended up going straight to streaming because of the pandemic? Originally, we decided, as of right now, at the time, the only one that this affected was Trolls World Tour. So at the time, we said it wasn't theatrically released. We're not doing it. Since then, we have decided as an admin team that we're going to reverse that. So movies that were supposed to be theatrically released that fit into fandom would come to Fandom Fights in 2021. Not right now, in 2021, when everything else comes in, these new categories. The movies that this affects are in the DreamWorks category, Trolls World Tour, and in the Disney live action category, Mulan and Artemis Fowl. There's rumors that Soul might move to Disney Plus. If that were the case, that will still come to Pixar. If I don't know if you guys saw the news today, of course it happened the day after Multiplex loves movies, but Disney pushed a bunch of their movies. Black Widow's now not coming out till next May. It seems good that that's going to get a theater release, but if it were to come out on Disney Plus, it would still be eligible. We didn't want to, shortchange MCU, DreamWorks, Disney, anything because of the pandemic. That being said, the giant elephant in the room is Hamilton. Let's get it out there. We've sent out a poll. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what happened was we had this conversation of movies that were set to be theatrically released pre-pandemic. Hamilton was one of them. That was supposed to get a wide theatrical release in October of 2021 across America. So that counted as going into Disney live action under the new rules. So what we decided was, rather than us being at a standstill of arguing, is it a movie, is it not a movie, should it be in, should it be not in, we were all like, well, yes, this movie has a big fandom. Let's leave it to the fandom players to decide. And so we put that in the inquiry, should Hamilton be in Disney live action? You answered, and it will not be in Disney live action. It was a pretty decent margin. I think it was, 70-30?
Yeah, 70.
It was 70-30 no to yes. We had to throw out a couple votes on both sides for people who did not follow the instructions. But end of the day, Hamilton will not be in Disney live action. But Artemis Fowl, Mulan, they will be in Disney live action. The rule that we set for Disney live action, I don't know if we ever publicly stated this, was that if a new movie gets put out that is a live action Disney film, it goes into Disney live action.
Yes.
So anything that comes out after we did the edit in March, also Artemis Fowl, Mulan, they count, they'll go in. And we will constantly be reevaluating it so it doesn't turn it into a 1,000 movie category again. We'll just keep trimming things off the back end as we go. But yeah, Hamilton, not Disney live action. Though I will say, whoever put it in the poll, I don't remember who said it in the survey, that said it was never supposed to be theatrically released. Challenge, incorrect information.
Yeah, it was supposed to be theatrically released. We literally, it was the right thing to do. As the admins, we oh, that's funny. We had to make a decision. We couldn't come to a decision, so we went to you guys and literally watch Disney animated movies. Then Spence. Yep, and I want to make this clear as well because this was something that me and Koho talked about, and that is I love Hamilton. I think Hamilton's great. But at the end of the day, it's not there. I didn't like Mulan. I didn't like Artemis Fowl. I think Artemis Fowl is the worst movie of 2020. I think Mulan is up there, too, as one of the worst movies of 2020. That being said, there's a lot of movies in a lot of categories I think are fucking terrible. So that is the decision at the end of the day, is that you guys voted. Hamilton won't be there, and we've decided those other ones are going to be. Yeah, I think that does. Nick, your thoughts on the whole thing?
The whole Hamilton thing?
The whole Disney live movie. Yeah, do you have anything you want?
I cut out for a middle in there. I don't know if I was just like frozen on screen or not. But no, I think the only thing I would say is there's a difference between movies that are good and the word deserves to be in fandom. So just because something is really great doesn't mean it necessarily automatically gets into fandom, and just because something is really bad doesn't mean it necessarily is taken out of fandom. Because those are also very subjective terms, which is the main reason why those don't really weigh on anything. Like I haven't seen Hamilton, but I could hate Hamilton, and then I don't think it belongs because I don't like it. Other than that, yeah, no. As long as theaters open up soon, this isn't anything we'll have to be reassessing, and for now I think we're good.
Yep, I think we officially just decided it. The next Multiplex Loves Movies watch along will be Hamilton, where me, Maggie, Koho, Boatman, and Cody will be singing the whole time, and Nick will have to sit there and watch.
I'm not even kidding. Please make that the next watch along.
So that might be a thing that we do. So guys, let's open it up for Q&A. If you have questions, throw them in the chat.
Remember how when we did watch-alongs and we were all like kind of about a half second off or like 3 seconds off from each other? So I'm sure singing all in unison will work out great.
All right. I'm scrolling back to see if I can find some of the old questions too.
Yeah, Adelaide, the movie Newsies, the one with Christian Bale is in, I believe.
Yes.
That's in Disney Live Action.
That's correct. The 1990 film with Christian Bale is in Disney Live Action.
But the 2010s recording is not. That will not be there. 2018. Yeah, I didn't know when it was. But yes, that will not be in there. What suggestions?
Can I just straight up answer this question?
He already mentioned it. Yeah, go ahead.
Nico, your response was like reading a school paper. I'm not even kidding you. Your answer for suggestions, I think, was 4 paragraphs long. It was just a wall of text. I read all of it because I wanted to make sure that I understood what you were saying and take your suggestion. The suggestion of adding what you called Injustice DLC and movies that Marvel has bought. I don't think we will make those categories. Those are loose threads to connect them. I don't think we need to put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mortal Kombat in one category and put it in fandom. I don't even think Alien and Predator and Star Wars belong in one category because technically Star Wars would then be Marvel because Marvel owns the comic book property. You get into tricky waters at that point. So those will not be categories. We did listen to your suggestion, but that is not going to happen.
Yeah. Were there any other suggestions that made us still? I some people signing these things. Come on, guys. I know Mike Hanley is fuck it. But we said, what's your
Oh yeah,
name?
Mike Hanley's name was fuck it. Watch M Ranked or don't. I don't control your lives. We know that's Mike Hanley. We know that's Mike, but we couldn't take your vote anyway because I needed your name or your competitive nickname to indicate it was you. Like, that's what I needed. I needed your name. When I ask for your name, I'm serious. Otherwise, I had to throw your ballot out. So,
Are any categories expanding? No.
not at this point. I don't think. Disney live action is an always expanding category, but that is an always revised category that we are constantly keeping an eye on and monitoring and revising and editing to make it doable. I think Marvel is one that has a new movie now. Whenever New Mutants comes to home video, that is officially going to be put into Marvel. There's always movies that are adding, but none of these are like YA Dystopia is not going to expand to add more movies at this point.
Yeah, right now YA is sticking with just Maze Runner, Divergent, and Hunger Games. We haven't nearly tapped what we can from those. We might expand that in the future. Aaron is also pointing out the big green angels in the outfield. I feel like we explained this, but there might be new people here, so I want to explain it again. When me and Koho decided to do the Disney live action thing, what we did was we found a list from Wikipedia of all the movies released by Walt Disney Pictures. We automatically took out any of the nature documentaries, all the animated stuff, all the stuff that wasn't released from Walt Disney Pictures. And we read the list and we said yay or nay. We voted. And when that list was done, it was still like 140 movies. And then we had to consciously take that and move it down to even less. So things like the big green, things like the...
They're turning on me, Tim. 8, Last Jedi.
Things like Angels in the Outfield, Big Green, we discussed it to begin with. It didn't. They didn't make the cut. We are going to do that list again, the 3 of us this time, at the beginning of next season. So there will be an updated Disney live action list at the beginning of next season on the Facebook page. Then that's kind of. But hey, guess what? You can take any Disney live action movie you want in FanZone.
That is a Spence's League thing there, DCN freak. You go to Ontel if you want to do that.
So what is it? No, so next season?
Pick what you don't want on the wheel instead of picking strengths. That's what Spence's Geek.
You can let us know which ones you don't want on the wheel, and we'll really feel for you, and then it might end up anyway. So sorry.
If you tell us what you don't want on the wheel, it'll turn into an episode of TWOHIG'S Trivia Night. I'm not even kidding.
Pretty much.
Was there anything that you guys wanted in that you fought for a lot that didn't make it in, as far as movies or as far as the Disney live action list or categories? Like, what do you throw what you're specifically looking at, Malcolm, in the chat, and we'll answer that.
You're welcome, Adelaide. Now that'll be $20.10.
Yeah, that makes sense. What did Nico? Will championship rounds continue their current format into 2021?
For the foreseeable future, I would say yes.
Yes, I would say yes as well. I just want to say thank you for all that you do. It's one of the best trivia. Thank you, Lucas. You are beautiful. Categories Malcolm was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So
categories we thought about.
It was horror icons.
Horror icons was the big one that we talked about. There was a couple categories that we threw around. I know we brought back up things that were suggested. Mecha was one that we threw around again just to see what we would do, but we didn't necessarily want to do another one that was like 13 movies of putting things together that are tied together by a thing. We were already knowing we were going to put in horror icons. We didn't want to do mecha and horror icons as 2 things that are tied by an abstract idea, or at least a concrete idea. The other thing was, I know View Askew has been thrown around a lot. We turned that one down again this season. We wanted to put in something that was going to be a lot more uniting and unanimously applauded in a world where we were also putting in horror icons, which we knew was going to be met with a lot of division. People were going to either love it or hate it. We wanted to put something that generally was good for everyone in here. So Mission Impossible was the play we went with. But yeah, if you like those categories, I hope you enjoy. Again, we will always listen to your suggestions. This is the Players League. We will do what we think is best for the game and for you guys, and we do listen to what you guys give us, suggestion-wise.
What is our biggest regret this season, and why is it never getting to host a match with Riders of Brohan's new name?
That is my biggest regret. My biggest regret was not announcing the Riders of Rohan as a team.
That's fair.
If only hands were on screen with that team, you know what I mean?
Yikes. Do we have actual answers for this? I don't know. I don't really have a lot of regrets from this season.
My biggest... What's my biggest regret? My biggest regret would come in the form of like a match that we wanted to do that never happened, or a match that we like didn't quite get to see that we were like gunning for. Sure. At least that's for me, because for me, I'm that kind of nerd. I think my biggest regret is Jacoby not going for TWOHIG Jacoby 3 in one season. Like to do an entire trilogy in one season, building in 3 different stages of pre-tournament, in-tournament, title match would have been like the coolest trilogy ever. That's a pretty big regret for me.
I had to avenge Tyler.
That's true. Another one that I am probably a little bummed about is I would say when it comes to teams, of course, I'm always going to be bummed that Ascendant didn't win that number 1 contenders match. But there's still the chance that Ascendant ran too, which I think is the teams match that at least for us as showrunners, I think would be one of the more entertaining ones to do. But yeah.
Do we have any regrets making YA dystopia a category during a year in which the world became a legitimate YA dystopia? Hardy har. Let's move on from that. Will TWOHIG ever lose his titles?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will.
I think TWOHIG is the best player. I'll say this right now. TWOHIG, I think, is the best player to hold the Fandom Fight singles belt. You heard me. I think TWOHIG is better than Robert Parker. And I will say those words on the record. I think TWOHIG is fantastic. But I think that Fandom Fights from season 1 to season 4 is one of the biggest evolutions of a game ever. In terms of the people who come in and play, to the way the game is played, to the categories constantly changing. I think season 3 was the best season we've had yet. I think season 4 is going to be even better. And by that, I mean, it's going to be competitive. We've had the belt changed twice in singles this year. Rizzy had it, Scully had it, TWOHIG had it, and we still have another title match left to do this year. TWOHIG could very feasibly lose it. We could have 4 champions in 1 year. So I think that even just the Scully TWOHIG rivalry alone shows that we have a lot of people in this league who can hold this belt, and TWOHIG is the best player that we've had so far. I still think that means he can still lose it because the level of competition we are at is astronomically insane.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so Tim beat Jacoby, so I'm either playing Tim, Koho, or Maggie.
Correct.
Either one of those 3 could very easily win the belt for me, especially when I played Scully that second time. Love you, Scully, but holy crap, did I want to beat Thomas Scully just because he knocked me out of the Fandom gauntlet at the beginning. And then he's my only loss to date. So I just really wanted to beat Scully. I was literally watching so many movies, more than a person should. And it happened to be like in the middle of this time when people didn't have a lot of other things to do.
This is a good question, actually.
So yeah, I just want to say that. And if I am lucky enough to defend against either of the 3 of them, I'll give you a big hint. There's a category coming in that you should probably use against me because I'm going to try and get good at it, but who knows?
I don't know about this one. This is something. Hall of Fame is something that I think is a dream that will happen eventually. I don't think it's going to happen this year or next year, but I could
probably
see
not.
By season 5. I could see us talking about that.
I know that is something that me and Cody and Boatman and people have talked about since season 2. Is the idea of a multiplex Hall of Fame, the idea of inducting people at the end of a season, with certain requirements. I think it was like you had to be retired to be inducted, or you've had to have reached a certain level of playing within your career to get it. But yeah, I think if we ever did one, I think there's a lot of clear options of people who probably have to go on that. I think Cody Newberry has to go in. For being manager of the year as many times as he has. This is on record. He's going to clip this into a smear campaign and I'm going to lose the award this year because of it. But I think he is the Bill Belichick of this league when it comes to coaching. He's the best coach, the best manager that we've had. And I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Twohig and Scully are first ballot Hall of Famers. I think Kaleb Boatman's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Tim Brzakala's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maggie Brzakala's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, if you look at like just the people that we've had playing, obviously people are gonna. Everyone's gonna go Robert and Paul and the people who have like played in the past that should go in. But yeah, I think we have so many people who definitely belong in a Hall of Fame if we ever did one. I already know what my first year ballot would be filling it out. But I think that is something that we will probably look at again after season 4 and consider maybe doing once we've got 4 years worth of matches and content and play and we're still here after 4 years. Then if we've been here for 4 years, then maybe there's a chance that we can make a Hall of Fame because we'll probably be here for another 4. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I've been managed by 2 people in Multiplex Entertainment. Cody Newberry, and then in the multiverse, I was managed by Nico Suave Rigoli. And let me say this. Both have led me to wins, but Cody's the best. Cody's the best. Okay, so what else was... okay.
That's fair, Lucas.
Will Twilight ever make it into fandom? It always comes up in conversation. We haven't.
It's one that we brought up before.
Yeah. So it's something that's always brought up. We don't just ignore it because we don't like it. That's not a thing.
JTH, the Hall of Shame is the oof of the year. You can keep track of that award. That is basically our Hall of Shame. We introduced it last year. That will not go away. Hall of Shame is basically the oof of the year every year. Keep your eyes out for the Multiplex Awards. This is actually probably the most competitive year for the Multiplex Awards ever.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to watch those. But yeah, the oof of the year is the Hall of Shame Award, and you've never been nominated, so don't worry about it. You are a national treasure, JTH. Don't be down on yourself.
Who wins a title first, the Vikings or Koho?
Is it cocky of me to say that I do? It hurts my soul because I think the Vikings have had way more opportunities to do it and should have done it by now. Just like me. If there was ever a merging of a sports team and an actual person, it is me. I am the Vikings of this league. Will I ever win a belt? Probably not, but I will try. I'll get there.
Fandom mix-up ever a plan?
Maybe. Never say never.
Never say never. That's one of those things that is a Cody Newberry exclusive, and it's his idea. It's his baby, and we're going to see how it goes. Cody is brave when it comes to trying new and exciting things.
Yes.
And it's awesome because he has really good ideas, and so we're able to execute those ideas. Multiverse was an idea that he had, and it worked out great. The free-for-all, Fandom will be doing a free-for-all at the beginning.
That is something we can announce. We are kicking off this year's season 4 with the first ever Fandom Fights free-for-all. And it will be the same prizes as what Warzone does, except it only counts for Fandom. So if you win the Fandom Fights free-for-all, you have a title shot of your choosing to sit on for the year. If you are the MVP, you have a number 1 contenders match to sit on for your choosing of the year. Yep. And those will be the prizes for the Fandom Fights free-for-all that we will be using to kick off season 4.
Yep. So yeah, never say never about mix-up, but right now it's not in the plan. Do we have a review for the next? Oh, sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also want to see, because a lot of these teams that are in this tournament are new teams who have played like one match.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'd like to see first is have like a bunch of these teams, even if they don't win the tournament, come out as established teams that we see again.
Absolutely, and I will say that this year has been the most hectic for the teams division. Teams has been a division that has really had its heyday in the first season, and the second season got a step better. But it was basically the Arkham Knights running the division the entirety of season 2. It kind of got boring. I got stale. Season 3 hit, and everything changed. Everything changed.
I was drunk every match by the end of it.
That's fair. But when we got to season 3, we had Ren, who, yes, the most dominant team. But we've also got so many teams that have just started that have proven themselves as being level teams that can win this belt. We've got Mischief Managed, who has held it. Mischief Managed has won it, and that's a team from season 2 that was able to pull it off. Necronomicon is still a team from season 2 that's played 3 times for a belt. There's no point in breaking that up yet. And that's not even the teams I'm trying to point out. There's Ascendant, there's Enter the Dragon Zord, America's Asses, License to Chill. There's so many teams that have just started playing, some like at Hoth, that could all feasibly win this belt or play for this belt before we can even think about doing a mix-up.
Preview for the next multiverse. Nico, what are you talking about? What is the multiverse?
What is the multiverse, Nico?
What is it really? What is it really? Because I believe it could be out there in the world, but I don't know for sure. But no, seriously, no, because we don't know 100% that we're going to do it again. I think we would all like to do it again. I think the plan is to try to do it again, but we don't have that set in stone. And honestly, those matches will be made on the fly, whatever is the most fun, exciting idea in Multiplex at the time.
Yes. And the other thing is, we don't want to do the same thing twice if it's not going to be funny again, if it's not going to be fun again. We don't want to just repeat ourselves for the sake of repeating ourselves because it worked the first time. Like, to bring up the April Fool's matches. We probably won't do another April Fool's match this year because you're expecting it. There have been 2 April Fool's matches. We did a second one because people forgot that the first one came out last year, and we had fun with it, and we changed the entire game of it to be something else with new players. We probably won't do an April Fool's match again this year. But, if we have a good idea... What?
Let's release it on May 1st.
May 1st. Just flip it. But if we do another multiverse, it has to be because we all came together and said, we have a really good idea. We have a really good idea of 4 matches that we want to put together that are not what we did last year. It has to be the right people, the right matches, the right games, the right formats that we haven't done already. But I think I would love to do another multiverse.
Nico's pitching that if we want to know where the storyline with The Rock would have gone. I don't.
Nico, I'll be really honest.
Frankly.
The storyline with The Rock up there with the Ryan storyline from season 1. As storylines that we are kind of glad ended a little early. But I will say, if we ever wanted to make segments in Multiverse, I'm not opposed to one of the cutscenes being you with The Rock figuring out how it goes, just as much as I'm not opposed to revealing where the Ryan storyline was going at some point. Like, there's a lot of storylines that I think died too soon, that we had matches that killed a storyline that was building that we had a lot of fun with. I'm not opposed to playing with using Multiverse to show you what we wanted to happen at certain points. Because trust me, a lot of outcomes that we wanted to have happen did not happen.
Yeah.
We never got a couple of matches that we really wanted. So.
Okay, so remember, will Multiverse Koho have different hair?
Hey, I'm not going to say no. I'm not even going to say that my hair might be different next week, but it might. I change my hair pretty frequently now.
How many people in the free-for-all? I think we said 30?
30. Because our active roster right now is at 40. We have 40 people on the active roster with debuts included and with more people coming in. We are going to do 30. I think that's a fine number to start with.
So we got to start wrapping it up in about 5 minutes, guys. So if you have any other big questions, let's throw them in there. Multiverse next year should be less. Here's weird combos and more what if. That's fair.
That's actually a very fair suggestion that I'm not against. What are some outcomes that you really wanted that never happened? I mean,
to win the title.
What?
I wanted to win the title.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I was kind of referring to. One of the big ones that we were like, hey, Tim will win the title because he should have the belt, obviously, and he'll win that. And then and he had that title shot, so we were like, Tim will win, and then it'll probably be either Twohig Tim or Scully Tim, and it'll be an excellent match. And then we were like, Rizzy won. Oh, why are we surprised that Rizzy won?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm trying to think of other big, like...
Another big what if for me that will always be a big what if is Arkham Silver Shamrocks. That's the what if.
That's a big one.
And I think that's a match that now we could never actually simulate. We're too far removed. Everyone's done 3 or 2 of those teams. Half of both those teams have not played Fandom in 3 years. They're not playing Fandom actively. It's just not the right time to ever simulate that match. But I would love to look into the alternate reality where they got Silver and Arkham did happen for the title, because I think that's a match that is close.
I also don't know what would have happened if Nick had beat Scully the first time and gone to play Rizzy instead of Scully going to play Rizzy.
Rizzy Twohig instead of Scully Twohig too.
Who did Scully play in the number one contenders match?
He knocked out RJ in the number one contender.
Oh, that's right. So if Twohig had gone to play RJ,
we would get Rizzy Twohig 1 instead of Scully Rizzy 2 for the title. Because they played their rematch for the title was not a rematch any of us were like, oh yeah, we should see that again. But we're still sitting here going, we've never seen Rizzy and Twohig play. I stopped at the second chance that it could have happened too. We got Koho Twohig 1 before we got Twohig Rizzy 1.
Yep, very true. The one that comes to my mind is it's very recent. So like I've said a couple times, these teams are only separated by 1 win in this tournament. Some of them have the same record and are separated by percentage points. I think a License to Chill versus Blockbuster Video would have been a hilarious first round match. Not even like in terms of competition, do I think it would have been better than what we're gonna get? But I just think it would have been very funny, and they were.
That's very true. That is to pull the curtain back on how we did seedings for teams that are all 1-0. It came down to your accuracy in your performance as a team, and it was Asses 79, License to Chill 78. It was 1 percentage point as to who was the 4 and 5 seed. And so it's 1 percentage point difference between Asses playing Blockbuster or Effie Lucas and Chill playing Effie Lucas or Blockbuster Video. And I agree. Blockbuster Video and License to Chill would have been a lot of fun.
Okay. I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back over the weekend with more matches on Saturday and Sunday. But also don't forget Warzone is I think they have a teams triple threat this weekend that's going to be pretty big.
They do. I'm in it.
Yeah, to find out who's going to go play for the title against Concept. That's going to be a big match. Also, tomorrow on FanZone, we have a title match. It's me versus.
Yeah, we do.
That is tomorrow on FanZone. It comes out at 1 EST. I'll be posting a poll in just a little bit. So
if you've just wanted to see Tim go from playing his teammates in trivia to debating his teammates over and over and over again, we have another one of those for you.
Yep. Yep. That's because I can't catch a break. I played. Who did I? So I played like Nazario. I played Jim, and then
Rise of Skywalker.
I played Robert, and then I played Koho, Robert again, and now Nick. Yep. It's stupid.
Okay.
And then you're gonna play me again if you beat Twohig, because I'm coming for it. One of you are playing me. I'm coming for it.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Okay, guys, but all those things and more. 2X Trivia Night Sunday, Miscellaneous Monday. Be on the lookout for all of it. So, guys, why don't we wrap it up with our normal fandom outro, guys?
Or I was gonna play the funny one that we loved.
Play the funny one. Let's do it. Peace.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders.